Welcome to Make the Grade with the Success Doctor, Stephen Green, where you'll discover actionable strategies to help your student to reach their academic goals, to excel at standardized testing, and to plan for the college admissions process painlessly. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Green.
And Dr. Stephen Green, the Success Doctor, back here with you today. We are talking goals. Goals! Here's why. I am recording this. This will be the final Make the Grade podcast of 2019 of the year, I suppose of the decade, although I get conflicting arguments where the decade ends this year or actually in end of 2020, but we won't get into that. We're going to talk about goals because a lot of people talk about goals this time of year or after January 1st, but usually they don't last. So I want to talk about short-term goals, but really I want to focus on long-term goals because when you're talking about academics, you're talking about school, you're talking about education, long-term goals are really, really important. And sometimes you get so caught up in the day-to-day and what's due tomorrow and what's due Wednesday and when you have tests that you forget the biggest ideas. So let's talk about them. Let's refocus on that for this episode. As always, the goal of this podcast is very simple. Action. I want to give parents and students actions you can put into place right away to maximize your education. So let's look at it this way. I'm going to break goals down into categories because we all have different aspects of our lives. The most obvious one is academic when we're talking about a school situation, but there's also non-academic ones. So let's presume, unless you are already in college or you have a child already in college, that your goal is to get into college. Even better, to get into the college of your choice, number one choice. Okay? Not a reach school, not something you're going to settle for. Number one choice. Okay? So that is the big goal, the long-term goal, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, so to speak. So let's back it up and talk about some things that are going to go into creating that reality for you. All right? The most obvious one, perhaps, is grades, academics. But there's really two things that go into that. And this is where you have to plan ahead a little bit. Okay? If it's halfway through your senior year, this isn't going to help you as much. But there's really two things colleges look at grade-wise. Number one is your actual grades. GPA, your cumulative average, call it what you may, out of 4, out of 5, whatever it is. Basically, the higher that is, the better. But the other thing they look at is what is usually known as academic rigor. What does that mean? Academic rigor. Well, it basically means the level of difficulty of the classes that you take. Typically, the sort of benchmark of rigor is an AP class. Second tier, typically an honors class. Third would be an academic level class. And then I guess maybe there's a kind of remedial level, possibly. But so best case scenario, you take an AP class, get an A+, and you kind of got everything covered. But this is where you need to plan a little bit. You can't just decide halfway through your junior year, oh, gee, I haven't taken an AP class yet. I better go take 4, something like that. So you got to look at these things from the long 10,000-foot view. So when we talk about academics, we're talking about grades. We're also talking about academic rigor. Now, of course, this is crossing over into college prep, college admissions counseling, which I talk about with a lot of my students. Haven't really got into it as much in the podcast. There is a course I've actually written on the college admissions timeline, which is available in my community and the community shop, but I'll get into that a little bit more maybe in the show notes. Let's talk about another side of it, which was extracurricular. And this really is where you have to plan ahead, set some goals, make them happen. So what do colleges look for? And that's a very kind of nebulous question because everyone's going to have somewhat different priorities. But generally, one thing I think most admissions people will agree on is they'd like people who have leadership positions. So for example, it is better to be in one or two clubs. So let's say you're in the French club and the chess club, but you are the president of both, than to be in 9 or 10 clubs just as a rank and file member. Maybe it looks good when you write them all out. I was in the chess club, the volleyball club, blah, 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 blah. But leadership. Now, leadership isn't usually something you're going to show up the first day of the club and get voted president. Typically, it goes to people with some seniority, it goes to people who've demonstrated a commitment to the club over time. And this is where you need to plan ahead. Pick things that you enjoy, that you want to stay involved with for 3 or 4 years or longer. And this can happen in school or out of school. There's a lot of activities that occur out of school that can really, really help you. So for example, let's say martial arts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, things where you can build to really, really high level achievements. So kind of the standard in the martial arts world would be the black belt. It takes 2-3 years to achieve this. So that's a great credential. Hey, I am a black belt in Taekwondo. I'm a black belt in karate, or things along these lines. Or maybe you're a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout and you become an Eagle Scout or something along these. These are things that show a long-term commitment to the process. But they're also things that require time and they require goal setting and managing it. And this all circles back into what I preach, which is managing your time management, managing your information management, and taking daily actions, daily success plan. These are the 3 cornerstone tenets of Maximum Education. So we've got the college as our big giant goal. That is as I said before, the pot at the end of the rainbow. We got the academic side in school grade-wise. We've got the in-school extracurricular things, and we've got out-of-school extracurricular things. You want your admissions packet, your resume, as it were, to be strong with leadership positions, accomplishments that are universally acknowledged, that they have taken some commitment. Now, sometimes people say, well, I just don't have time to do it, or I'm so busy, or I'm nothing I like that much. I think what I would say to that is you just got to try to find one thing. You don't need to have 15 things. And some people are just busy. Some people have jobs. There's nothing wrong with that, but use that to your advantage. One of the big things here is you want to play up your strengths. You want to play up your forte. You want to downplay your weaknesses. So the more you pad impressive, positive things, the more you can get away, so to speak, with some things that maybe aren't quite as strong. So let's set some goals. What are your goals in this case for 2020? Or whatever year's coming up. What are your academic goals? What are your extracurricular goals? What are your long-term goals? What are your monthly goals? And the key is write them down. People who write down their goals and look at them are 20 times more likely to accomplish them than people just say, yeah, I'll get there. So make it specific. There's a big thing called SMART goals, which I talk about a lot with students. I don't talk a lot about in the social media world, but you want it to be specific. I would like to accomplish this. You want it to be measurable. In order to do this, I have to have 50 units of something. Okay? You want it to be timed. Other things like this. So there's ways you can make goals really, really meaningful. So when you work towards them, you got something that's actually going to help you. And sometimes a giant goal is accomplished by a series of small ones. Okay? So I hope this has been motivating. I hope this is going to point you in the right direction. And I hope this helps you to realize what you are trying to accomplish. And as we say at Make the Grade, we're here to help you to reach your goals. So as always, the main tenet of the Make the Grade podcast is to give you as a parent or you as a student actionable items that you can use right away. Set goals. Go get a notebook. Write your goals down right now. You can use right now to help you to maximize your education. Dr. Stephen Green, the Success Doctor. I'd love to get feedback from listeners, subscribers, students, non-students. You can do it by emailing me at sgreene at makethegrade, makethetherade.net, or come into the Make the Grade communities on Facebook. Search Make the Grade Maximum Education. You ought to find them. Anything else is great. Hope everybody had a great year this year. Wishing you an excellent holiday season and really, really strong 2020 and beyond. Take advantage of goal setting. It is a proven way to help you to get where you want to be. So, Dr. Stephen Green saying thank you. Thank you for your support. Have a great rest of this year. Have a great beginning of next year. And we'll get with you next episode. So long.
You've been listening to Make the Grade with the Success Doctor, Stephen Green. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe. For more resources and support, please visit makethegrade.net.